should definitely do whatever Kyrie says. The man is the king for a reason. He's the reason LeBron won the finals.
If you like anything you see today, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to see our content first. Now, let's get back to the video. After making the playoffs as the 7th seed in the East, the Brooklyn Nets now add Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, two of the top 10 players in the league. So obviously they have NBA title contention in mind. What do you guys think they should do to try and push them over the edge to secure that NBA Finals?
Yeah, look, for me, I think the Brooklyn Nets kind of come across as an offensive juggernaut. With KD coming back, we're not too sure how he's going to come back from that Achilles injury. I've obviously seen Kobe late in his career. He was a couple of years older than KD, so I'm hoping with this extended kind of time off as well. When he comes back start of next year, that'll be 18 months off after that injury in the finals. And we all know how good KD is. Obviously, combine that with Kyrie and LeVert and Dinwiddie. But kind of the one kind of hole that I see in this Nets team is their defense. Torrey Craig in free agency. Denver, obviously, they have 4 players who are coming out of contract at the end of this year, and obviously with their great playoff run, they're going to have to try and sign most of them. But I think Torrey Craig is going to be the man that misses out, and would be a great fit for the Brooklyn offense-heavy team, who could really use Torrey Craig's defense.
I honestly think one of the best moves they can do is re-sign Joe Harris. He was shooting ridiculously well this year, 47% from deep, I'm pretty sure. That is just insane for someone like him, and he doesn't even need to handle the ball at all. He just catch and shoot. They should definitely do whatever Kyrie says. The man is the king for a reason. He's the reason LeBron won the finals when they were at Cleveland. Don't try to tell me otherwise. Kyrie is the one who hit that shot. Kyrie, number 1, KD, number 2. And I'm not talking about on the team. I'm talking about in the league right now. KD's only number 2 because he's coming off an injury.
Look, this Nets team, on paper, they look great. They made the playoffs without KD and Kyrie, and now you're adding these 2 superstars to the mix. When I look at the Nets, there's only one real weakness. They don't really have a 4. They have the guard position locked up. Kyrie, Dinwiddie, LeVert, Joe Harris. That's a great rotation. And then you obviously have the small forward position, Taurean Prince, Kevin Durant, the greatest scorer of all time. And then the center position, you have Jarrett Allen and DeAndre Jordan kind of splitting minutes. To address this, I'm looking towards the draft. The Nets actually have the 19th overall pick, and with the 19th overall pick, I'm taking Jalen Smith. He's a 6'10 power forward. He can stretch the floor. He shoots 38% from 3. He's a rim defender. He, gets a bunch of blocks. And I think that he would be the perfect complement in that Nets system. Sure, he has trouble defending on the perimeter a little bit, and that's something he'll kind of have to learn while he's in the NBA. I think it'd be a really positive thing to have Jalen Smith and then Jarrett Allen both defending the rim, having like a 2-headed monster type thing, kind of like what the Milwaukee Bucks run with Brook Lopez and Giannis, rim defending. So the Brooklyn Nets could get their own kind of version of that going. Someone else I could see them getting as an alternative to Jalen Smith, especially if Jalen goes earlier in the draft, is Precious Achiuwa. He's also a stretch 4, rim defender. He's actually a better defender than Jalen Smith. So, you could get a more seasoned defender in there, and, they can both kind of play that same role, the rim defending stretch 4. So that's what I'm looking for if I'm the Nets, and those 2 guys should be available around that 19th pick. If I'm the Nets, every other position showed up. I'm just trying to add through the draft. If they need to trade up, use some of their other picks to move forward in the draft, to take a Jalen Smith or a Precious Achiuwa, whoever they have higher on the boards, then that's what I would do.
Yeah, with that 19th pick, Mike, I'd almost be trading it. I think, Brooklyn are in such a win-now mentality. They've gone out and they've got the big stars, which is kind of the hard part in contending for a championship. So now that the Nets have that, I'd almost be trading that 19th pick with some potential first-round picks, but we do know Brooklyn's past record with trading away those picks hasn't gone well in the past, with the Paul Pierce KG trade, which kind of crippled the Nets for the past 10 years. So they do need to be careful. If that's only if KD doesn't come back and isn't even half the player of what he was. Because when he went down with that injury, I personally believe that KD was the best player in the league. So will he come back and be as dominant? I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think, the Nets should be trying to explore all trade options to potentially even pair up a third star with Kyrie and KD. Obviously, Bradley Beal is a man, his name, he gets thrown around a lot. He's obviously a star player on the Wizards. So for the Nets to have any chance of acquiring him, they'd almost need to be throwing 5 to 6 first round picks and chucking in Dinwiddie or LeVert. And I don't think they're wanting to part ways with LeVert, so I think Dinwiddie would probably be the likely option there.
One thing I'd be worried about with the Nets is actually what happened with the Clippers this year. When you look at those situations, they're actually quite similar. You have a team that made the playoffs the year before, and then they add two big name stars. And that's what happened with the Clippers this year. And obviously we saw how they went with chemistry issues and a lot of ego as well. We've seen the stuff that KD's been doing on Twitter and the stuff that's come out about Kyrie in Boston. But yeah, that's what I would be worried about if I'm someone from the Nets coaching staff. I wouldn't want KD and Kyrie to dictate that locker room too much, especially since they've made the playoffs the last 2 years. I would try and ensure that the core that they already have with Dinwiddie, LeVert, Harris, Jarrett Allen, I'd make sure that those guys have a clear definition of what they're supposed to do with KD and Kyrie in the mix, because that's something I'd be worried about. Yeah, so if I'm the Nets, I'm looking to make sure to get the coach, who's Steve Nash. Obviously Kyrie and KD both respect him a lot. I'd make sure to get the coach, the front office, as well as the team players, to make sure everyone's on the same page in terms of not only their goals, but everyone's roles. Because if people don't know their roles, like with the Clippers, and people see that there's too much preferential treatment going on, then that could spell disaster for the Nets, where the Nets underachieve just like the Clippers did, which is what we don't want to see, obviously.
A player I want to mention is Jarrett Allen. He was obviously the starting center for Brooklyn for most of last year, but now with DeAndre Jordan fit and healthy, he will be taking over that role. With Steve Nash as the new coach, Jarrett Allen might be out of favor, or does he not want to play coming off the bench, which is what he'll be forced to do so. Do you guys see Jarrett Allen staying, or could the Nets potentially trade him for a man who'd play that role better, or do you reckon he could adapt and happily play the big man off the bench role?
Yeah, I honestly think he can play the big off the bench. He's really good, and he's not afraid to get posterized, which is a big thing, because he always goes for those crazy blocks, and yeah, he tends to get posterized by some crazy guards who like to dunk.
That's what we think the Nets should do this year to get in titles contention. Thank you for getting us to 200 subscribers, guys. It's a massive milestone for us. We really appreciate it. And we actually have a new goal now. We're trying to hit 500 subs by the end of November. And if you guys could sub to us, we'd really appreciate that. And comment down below, what do you think the Nets should do this offseason? Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, cheers for making it to the end of the video. Really appreciate your time and listening to our opinions. Whether you agree or disagree with us, please drop a comment down below. Let us know. We're just trying to learn and grow our channel. And talking to growing our channel, feel free to drop us a subscribe as well. Really help us grow and really get our name out there. Really appreciate it, guys.